What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new ranking, and with the release of 2019's reimagining of Hellboy, I thought it'd be fun to dive in and talk and rank about the 3 theatrical released Hellboy films. Yes, I know there are 2 excellent cartoon TV movies out there that had Ron Perlman voicing Hellboy, but I wanted to leave those out there because I don't think everyone knows about those, and I want to talk about these 3 theatrical released Hellboy films. Of course, the best thing about this, guys, is if you guys are new, consider hitting that like and subscribe button where I talk all sorts of geeky content, and plus do early movie reviews over on the channel. Plus, guys, and also go over to Sandwich on Films for ways to see films early. Guys, while you're at it, why not comment down below and let me know what your ranking is of all the Hellboy films. But without further ado, let's get straight into this ranking. Coming down at number 3, dear God, it's the brand new Neil Marshall Hellboy film. Now, I understand there are a lot of stuff coming out now about this film that it had a very horrible production. There was a lot of stuff with the producers really much ruining the film, not letting Marshall do his vision for the movie. He was locked out of the editing room. David Harbour apparently walked off set quite a couple of times. Honestly, did not sound like a pleasant thing going on, and it actually felt like a lot of Fantastic Four-isms happened on this set, which is a very unfortunate thing. Besides that, though, the film overall is an incomparable mess in general. There is not one single thing about this movie that made me love it or even find it even appealing to ever watch again, which is disappointing to say because I was one of the few that was at least hyped and excited for a new Hellboy film because I love this character so much, and I love David Harbour in general and the cast that they all got involved. I love Neil Marshall as a director. He directed The Descent, which is one of the best horror films of all time, and in general, I was just psyched for a new Hellboy, and I came out so disappointed from the utter exposition scenes that just were totally diving and destroying each and every pacing and how uneven the film felt, to the point where the exposition at times, yeah, exposition has to be there in a lot of films, but the way it was delivered, the amount of times it was delivered, the amount of things they had to set up for this future world, it's like they did not trust the audience itself. Plus, there's this horrible Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain in here that is a giant talking pig that almost ruined each and every scene. The film itself even takes on the R rating, but in a way that just doesn't seem like it's trying to be R rated, but it's just shoving it in your face with the blood and guts, you know, being there for the overall classic of it, but really the cursing comes down to it where it's ruining each scene and just throwing in the F word for no reason. I'm fine with you saying the F word, but the way and the abundancy of using it in this film was overly and excessive to the point where it was annoying, and especially by that pig character. David Harbour is charming as an inexperienced Hellboy, and I did like his performance. I wish he had a better material to work with, especially for one of his side leads, Sasha Lane, who plays Alicia Monaghan, who had a really cool clairvoyant and different type of abilities to her. I think she had a good ability, and I liked the charm that she brought to the role, but even though these 2 actors do such a good job, the material was not there for them to work, and they couldn't rise above it because it was really that poor. Awesome demon designs and 2 cool particular action scenes that I wish they had more of. There's really no action in this film. It really just ends up falling apart and being a complete mess of a movie, and makes me wonder why the studio just did not give Del Toro the money to go make the 3rd film, because it's probably the amount of the 3rd film probably would have been around the cost of this. Moving on past that horrible mess, we go on to number 2, which is the original Hellboy from 2004. I love this film. In fact, this film has always been something that I love falling back and going back and watching. Ron Perlman is excellent as Hellboy. He embodies the character to the point where you do not know this is Ron Perlman. You only see Hellboy. Selma Blair is great as her main character, and even you go to Abe Sapien, who's one of the best sidekicks to any role. One of the reasons this film works so distinctly isn't because of the villains or even the action scenes that really much still hold up to this time. It comes down to the fact that Del Toro's style and his direction of the film is so strong. Yeah, there is exposition in this movie. In fact, there is quite a bit, and it is interesting and creative exposition to work for this world, but the reason this film works is because Del Toro shaped this film and pushed into his gothic horror tones while implementing a monster movie and focusing more on that monster movie feel, kind of hollering back to the old classic days of Creature from Black Lagoon or even Frankenstein, where these characters are misunderstood, and he tackles that in such a great light that it makes you fall in love with the character. And that's why this film works so much, because the charm of that is there. The distinct tone and style of Del Toro is there, and shaping the tone of this to work with inside the comic book realm is excellent and supersedes a lot of different movies that tried to mix in the same type of horror tone, but this one just did it better. A lot of the effects still work today. Again, like I said, the action is still great, and a lot of the charm is just totally there. Now we move on to my favorite Hellboy film of all time, and in fact, this is one of my favorite comic book films of all time, and that is Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. I think Del Toro took everything that was so great about the first one and implanted even more great seeds into it within the sequel, the predecessor to this, that took 4 years to make, but it was excellently made. This is one of my favorite comic book films, like I stated before. Ron Perlman, again, is great as Hellboy. Everyone is great in all their different roles. Seth MacFarlane's character in here that he voices is actually very interesting, and I like the dynamics that he takes within it as well. One of the great things about Hellboy 2: The Golden Army is the fact that it takes the exposition, but uses it for a different seed of this film. It implants it and builds on the mythology from the first one and opens up this world to such a bigger and broader stroke. The amount of demons, the amount of different monsters that are in this one, and the amount of prosthetics in different worlds that we go to that they expanded on, but without bonking you over the head and annoying you with so much exposition, but just trusting you and making you feel like you're along for the ride and not feeling like you're an audience member or a student or a classmate being taught something. No, you're along for the ride with these characters, and it's moving fast, it's paced perfectly, and it really is stronger than the first one and one of the strongest comic book films ever made. There's excellent action all the way through. There's some great one-liners and even awesome scenes that really have great bonding moments between all of our characters. Again, Del Toro brings that gothic horror tone again implanted into this film while still carrying that same misunderstood monster feel to it, but implanting it into even the villain and the antagonist of this film. One of the other great things that he even implants more into this is taking that same tone, but also mixing it into the kind of the spy genre. This film at times even feels like a Men in Black, but even done better. Del Toro just knew and how to grip on this character so greatly that I actually hope with the horrible mess that they made of this reboot, that I actually have a feeling that give it 5 years, I think Del Toro will get the rights to do a third film. I think he will get the money, and I'm hoping. I mean, this is all predictions, but I really do have a feeling that he will get that, and I'm hoping to dear God he can. That's my ranking of all the Hellboy films. Let me know down below what is your favorite Hellboy film, and also make sure to tell me what would your ranking be of all this, and what is your thoughts on this brand new Hellboy film. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts, and until next time, stay classy.